guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video I want to do an update on all my orchids that are growing currently in water culture, and as you are going to see, they are mostly Phalaenopsis. They grow really well for me in this culture, so I have moved them all. And also I am going to show to you what I am doing as a maintenance for them. So here in front of you, you have a Phalaenopsis, the pink hybrid, which is producing about 100 blooms in total. When it is its blooming season, I have just cut its 3 spikes because they were extremely long. And as you can see, it is already in growing mode. This one has been moved for about a year in water culture, and it did not produce many roots down because all the time she had spikes, so because of that the orchid was leaning in the front. So right now I decided to cut them all because of her position, all the roots were going upwards. She has quite a lot of leaves, so there is not much space for roots to go inside. And this year I'm going to try to train the roots to go inside, as I said, and try to keep it upwards like this, because as you can see, the leaf did not arrange itself properly because I gave it light from a different perspective. So I'm going to try to correct that this year. But it is doing quite well, and it bloomed quite profusely this year, as you saw in one of my last videos. Here we have a Phalaenopsis no ID. It is a white one, which is currently pushing up a spike with beautiful buds here. And I have just filled up the vase with water. I am going to put it about here. I put a bit too much water, but you can see that she adapted very well into water culture. It is in this method of culture for about 1 year, and she has quite a lot of roots. Next we have another Phalaenopsis no ID, which is in bloom and in spike. As you can see, it has both new spikes here and new branches from the old spikes. As you can see, it is continuously growing, and I think that here I am going to have the same thing, spike or a bloom with a keiki, as she produced here. So soon enough I am going to remove this keiki and put it into water culture, but I'm going to wait for the third leaf to open up. She is in water culture for about 1 year, and as you can see, she's doing quite alright, because when I have received it, it only had 1 single root, so she's doing quite alright. Next, here we have another Phalaenopsis, a white no ID. Again, is in water culture for about 1 year, and she is quite liking it. Here we have the Phalaenopsis that I got from my boyfriend's mother. It has a tag there in the back. This one was in semi-hydro, and I moved it into water culture for a few months, and she's doing quite well. No spikes yet, because this one blooms in the summertime. Here we have the Phalaenopsis Bellina that I have just moved for about 1 week into water culture. I have a really nice glass vase. As you can see, she has a lot of roots. All of those grew into semi-hydro, and I'm sure they will adapt very well into water culture. Next we have the Phalaenopsis Princess Kaiulani Mckee, that again has just been moved into water culture, and she's not all that keen into producing roots, because as soon as they grew, they stopped. As soon as they have touched the media from the semi-hydro, they stopped growing. But I hope that she's going to do better into water culture. And here I have a Phalaenopsis Keiki, which grew from a mother plant which produced about 9 Keikis before it died, and as you can see, this one is about 1 year old. As you can see, it grew quite a lot. Here it has a little spike, and this one was planted into bark, and I moved it into water culture. So it's doing quite alright until now, at least. Here we have a Phalaenopsis orchid which I received from my mother. She got it for me from UK, and as you can see, it is reblooming for me, and I moved it, it was a seedling, and I moved it into water culture. It really seems that it enjoys it, so yeah. It is in this method for about 3 months. This is another mini Phalaenopsis which was in semi-hydro, moved it a few weeks ago into water culture, and it didn't even notice, no buds dropped, and this has a gorgeous orange color. I cannot wait to have it in bloom to show it to you. This is one of the ones that makes a lot of branches. This is a rather young plant, but it's quite well rooted, as you can see. And these ones do grow up here, but I am going just to take them to show them to you more easily here. So this is a variegated orchid. I have received it a few months ago, and it did not have many roots, but as you can see, it did produce one big fat root there, and it is rather happier now. And of course that the tag is getting in my way. It is currently in bloom and in spike. As you can see, the blooms are quite beautiful, and I grow it especially for the foliage. As you can see, when the orchid was not in highlight, I did not have any or many variegation on the leaves, but now that I moved it into higher light, you can see that it went back to the habit of producing the variegations, which I actually like the most. And this is the Phalaenopsis Sogo Vivian. And here we have the Phalaenopsis Magic Art. As you remember, I tried to save the mother plant about 1.5 years, but it was infected with some sort of disease, possibly Fusarium, and she produced 2 cakeys. And I removed those one which I sold a few weeks ago, and this is the one which I kept. It is currently in spike, and it's growing quite well into water culture. I have moved it for about 2 weeks into water culture from bark, and I am quite sure that this year it is going to only grow even better. I'm quite proud of it. And here I have the Phalaenopsis Sogo Peach. This one did not like to grow in any culture for the longest time, except in water culture. I have moved it for about 1 year, and finally she's growing well, as you can see. But to be quite honest, I'm not all that in love anymore of this orchid, so I'm just trying to sell it. It does have quite a lot of roots, as you can see. I'm going to paint something on this vase as well. Here we have the gorgeous Phalaenopsis which I received from Corina, and we moved it into water culture from semi-hydro, and she's doing quite alright. It is producing a new leaf. The Phalaenopsis Harlequin is also growing quite alright into water culture, and I have just moved it into a higher light position because I have observed that she was suffering a bit where I put it for the last year. So now she has a higher light position, and I'm sure she is going to grow and bloom better. I think that this year I'm going to cut all the old spikes because I would like her to have a full growing season just to produce roots and leaves, even though, as you can see, all these roots have been produced in the past year in water culture, because when I have put it originally it only had 2 roots, 2 very short and questionable roots, and she adjusted quite well, as you can see. But the leaves are a bit narrow, or actually beginning with this they look a lot better, but you can see that the old roots all the leaves did show signs of low light. And here it is, my pride and joy. This is the gorgeous Phalaenopsis Ivy, which I have received from my boyfriend a few years back, and it adjusted very well into into semi-hydro, and recently I moved it into water culture, and I'm sure it is going to do very good. And now, as for the care that I provide for my orchids into water culture, so I am using fertilized water every single time, and they are growing into full water culture, which means that all the time they do have some water at the bottom of the vases or containers, pots, whatever I am using. I'm going to talk just about how I care and how I maintain them healthy, let's say, because I don't want to get into adjusting them to water culture from other cultures, from other methods of culture. So whenever the water gets dirty, I am just going to remove it, clean the vase with some sort of sanitizer, and I'm not doing that all that often, so I'm doing that maybe 2 times a year. There is no danger if you have any algae inside the water, but when it accumulates too much and it builds on the wall very thick, and you can smell the water, that it doesn't smell anymore fresh nor as a healthy environment, that is the moment when I am cleaning them. And once in a while, exactly when I am cleaning the vases, I am going to just go with the orchid in the bathroom, shower it really well on the leaves and on the aerial roots, and after that, after I shower the roots as well, so any debris, any algae that may form on the roots is going to wash away. I'm going to fill up the vase. Even though the stem is in water, I'm going to fill it up and leave it overnight in water to soak really well all the roots, and then I'm going to leave the water up above here, and until next time, whenever the water gets lower, I am going to fill it just back up. I don't ever let them to dry out in between waterings. And when I am putting water up above to the top of the glass vase, I am using clean water. I am not putting fertilized water. I am using fertilized water when I am watering them, but other than that, I don't do much. As for the fertilizer, I am using MSU fertilizer at about 150 ppm, and I do adjust a bit the pH at between 5.5 and 6.5, but other than that, I don't recheck the pH in the water, and I don't adjust it weekly or something like that, just when I am putting water in the vases. How often I am watering them, well, that depends on the particular orchid. An orchid which has little roots or which doesn't really grow much, it will not consume that much water, and an orchid which, as you can see in front of you, has a lot of fruits, is going to get watered more often. So other than that, this is the method of culture which takes the least amount of time for me, and to be quite honest, my Phalaenopsis grow really well in this method. I would not like to try without the other orchids, because I do find that orchids which have pseudobulbs are very prone to rotting if the pseudobulbs are inside the vase, and it is nearly impossible to maintain, let's say, a cattleya with all the pseudobulbs and the rhizome on top of the glass vase, and I do find that they grow better like that, so I won't mess with them at all. To clean the vases, I am using Phalaenopsis 20, and you have the directions of use on their website, but I am going to put you a link for these products, and but I am going to write it for you down below as well. And with that being said, this has been the video for today. If you have any questions, guys, please leave them in the comment section below. I'm going to be more than happy to answer them for you. And all I said, it is just how I grow them. That doesn't mean that you should grow them like this as well, and that I am using the correct method. So feel free to experiment. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all next time. Bye!